Picture a quiet street in Amstetten, Austria, where a man named Josef Fritzl lived a seemingly ordinary life. But beneath this facade lurked a shocking secret. Amidst the tranquil setting, Josef lived a double life that would shake the world in 2008. Fritzl, an unassuming figure to the public eye, held a sinister secret below the surface of his everyday appearances. Behind the closed doors of his home, he committed an act so heinous it would redefine the boundaries of human cruelty. This is not just the tale of a man, it's the tale of a monster who imprisoned his own daughter Elizabeth for 24 long, torturous years. Beneath the very ground of his house, he built a concealed dungeon, a place of unimaginable horrors where Elizabeth was kept captive, hidden from the world. An even more chilling fact was that during this time, Fritzl fathered 7 children with Elizabeth. 3 of these children never saw the light of day until their rescue, their existence a shocking revelation to the world. This is a tale that could chill even the most seasoned true crime enthusiast. Beneath the Fritzl family home, a hidden basement held a nightmare that lasted for 24 years. The basement was more than just a space beneath the house. It was a sinister labyrinth, meticulously constructed and concealed by Josef Fritzl himself. The secret cellar was an intricate network of rooms, each painstakingly designed to be hidden from the outside world. The entrance was concealed behind a shelf, only accessible via a coded key. It was a fortress of solitude, its walls soundproof to keep the screams of torment from reaching the surface. This underground bunker was a product of Fritzl's meticulous planning. He had spent years designing and constructing it, exploiting his knowledge as an engineer. He had made sure every possible loophole was covered, every weak point strengthened. He had turned his family home into a fortress of horror, a prison that would confine his own flesh and blood. Elizabeth Fritzl, Josef's daughter, was lured into this labyrinth when she was just 18. The unsuspecting girl was drugged and handcuffed by her own father, who then transported her to the basement. Little did she know that this basement would become her home, her world, for the next 2.5 decades. The basement was not just a prison for Elizabeth, it was a realm of unimaginable horrors. It was here that she was subjected to daily abuse, her captor being none other than her own father. She was isolated from the world, her only company being the children she bore from the unspeakable acts of her father. Yet in spite of the darkness that surrounded her, Elizabeth held on. She clung to the faintest glimmer of hope, the hope that one day she would escape from this dungeon and see the light of day again. She held on for her children, for herself, and for the freedom that was cruelly snatched away from her. For Elizabeth, the basement was not just a prison, but a grim reality she had to endure. The hidden dungeon was a chilling testament to the capacity of human cruelty, a dark chapter in the annals of true crime. For nearly a quarter of a century, Elizabeth lived in the shadows, her life dictated by her father's twisted desires. In the confines of a hidden cellar, Elizabeth Fritzl was held captive, her existence a chilling secret. Her life was a series of unimaginable horrors, a relentless cycle of abuse and fear. Josef Fritzl, the man who should have been her protector, was her tormentor. He was the architect of her suffering, a father in name only. The cellar, a space not designed for human habitation, was her entire world. It was a place where daylight was a distant memory and fresh air a forgotten luxury. She was isolated with only the cold, damp walls for company. The silence was broken only by the eerie echoes of her captor's footsteps. Yet in this hellish existence, Elizabeth bore 7 children. 3 of them were raised in the same darkness that held their mother captive. Their lives were marked by the same deprivation, their childhood stolen by the same man who stole their mother's freedom. Their world was the basement, their sky a concrete ceiling. On the other hand, 3 of Elizabeth's children were taken away at birth, finding themselves living above ground under the guise of being foundlings. They lived a life starkly contrasting to their siblings in the cellar, experiencing the world outside, the changing seasons, and the warmth of the sun. Yet they too were victims living under a fabricated reality. One child, a baby boy, tragically did not survive the harsh conditions of the cellar, his short life ending in the very place it began. His existence, like that of his mother and siblings, was a secret buried deep in the heart of a seemingly ordinary house. Life in the Fritzl basement was a grotesque mockery of a family home, a chilling testament to the depths of human depravity. It was a place where innocence was lost and lives were irreversibly altered. And all the while, the world outside continued unaware. In the darkness of the basement, a family grew, unknowingly living parallel to a world above. In 2008, a series of events led to the unraveling of Fritzl's heinous secret. The year had barely begun when fate intervened, shaking the very foundations of the House of Horrors. Elizabeth's eldest daughter, a child born and raised in captivity, fell gravely ill. The severity of her condition forced Fritzl to take a step he had avoided for over 2 decades. He had to expose his secret family to the outside world. With no other choice, Fritzl brought the ailing girl to a hospital, spinning a tale of a mysterious mother who had left the child on his doorstep. But the medical staff, growing suspicious of his story, alerted the authorities, setting off a chain of events that would finally expose the chilling truth. As the police began their investigation, they issued a public appeal for the missing mother, Elizabeth. Little did they know, she was much closer than they could ever imagine, trapped beneath the very ground they stood upon. When Elizabeth heard the appeal broadcasted into the basement, she persuaded her captor to let her out, her first breath of freedom after 24 long, harrowing years. With Elizabeth finally free, the pieces of the puzzle started falling into place. Fritzl was arrested, and the hidden dungeon was discovered. The world watched in horror as the depth of his crimes came to light. The trial that followed was swift and decisive. Fritzl was sentenced to life imprisonment for his unimaginable acts. For Elizabeth and her children, the aftermath was a time of healing, of learning to live in a world they had been denied for so long. They had to learn to navigate the challenges of a normal life, to understand the concept of freedom, something they had been cruelly deprived of. They were relocated and given new identities, a chance to start afresh, away from the shadow of their traumatic past. Fritzl's monstrous deeds were finally brought to light, but the scars left by his actions continue to reverberate. Josef Fritzl's crimes are a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of ordinary life. This tale, while horrifying, underscores not just the capacity for human evil, but also the incredible resilience of the human spirit. It is a testament to the enduring will of those who endure and overcome unthinkable situations. It prompts us to stay vigilant, to question, to look beneath the surface, and to never underestimate the power of survival. Thank you for watching. Until next time.